parents canceled my birthday for my entitled sister who threw a tantrum to go on a trip, so I moved out with Grandpa who cut off their money and revealed they never wanted me. For context, 17F, I'm the youngest of 3 kids in what I used to think was a typical middle-class family. We live in a decent-sized house in the suburbs, nothing fancy but comfortable enough. My dad, 45M, works as a manager at a local manufacturing plant, and my mom, 43F, is a part-time real estate agent. My older brother, Jake, 24M, moved out years ago and rarely visits. Then there's my sister, Ella, 19F, who's always been the golden child. From as far back as I can remember, Ella has been the center of attention in our family. She's always been outgoing, popular, and ambitious, everything my parents seem to value. Me? I'm more introverted, preferring the company of animals to people most of the time. I've always dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, but my parents tend to dismiss it as a phase or a cute idea. Growing up, the favoritism was subtle at first. Ella would get slightly bigger portions at dinner, first pick of Christmas presents, or more enthusiastic praise for her accomplishments. As we got older, it became more obvious. When Ella wanted to go to cheerleading camp, my parents found the money. When I asked for art classes, I was told we couldn't afford it. Ella's room got redecorated every few years, mine still has the same wallpaper from when I was 5. I tried not to let it bother me too much. I told myself that maybe Ella just needed more attention, that maybe one day my parents would see me too. I focused on my studies, volunteered at the local animal shelter, and tried to be the perfect daughter. But no matter what I did, it never seemed to be enough. My 18th birthday was coming up, and for once, I was actually excited. I'd been dropping hints for months about wanting to have a small party with my friends at this cool escape room place downtown. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a fun afternoon with pizza and games. I had it all planned out. We'd do the hardest room they had, the Pharaoh's Tomb, then head to the pizzeria next door for dinner and cake. I even saved up my allowance to pay for half of it, hoping that would convince my parents to agree. To my surprise and delight, they seemed on board with the idea. My mom even helped me design invitations, and my dad promised to take the day off work to drive us. For the first time in years, I felt like I mattered, like my birthday was actually something worth celebrating. 2 weeks before my birthday, Ella came home from college for spring break. She attends a prestigious university a few hours away, where she's studying business and is part of the most elite sorority on campus. She waltzed in, demanding attention as usual, regaling us with stories of her amazing college life and all the important connections she was making. That night at dinner, she started gushing about how her sorority sisters were planning a trip to Cancun. The catch? It was the same weekend as my birthday. I could see where this was going, but I tried to stay positive. Surely, my parents wouldn't cancel my long-planned birthday for a last-minute spring break trip, right? Oh, how naive I was. Ella turned to our parents with her perfected puppy dog eyes. Mom, Dad, I really need to go on this trip. It's crucial for my social standing in the sorority. All the most influential girls will be there, and I can't miss out on the networking opportunities. Can you please help me out? I know it's last minute, but this could really impact my future. My dad hesitated, glancing at me with a hint of guilt in his eyes. But before he could say anything, my mom jumped right in. Of course, sweetie. We'll make it work. Your future is important, and we want you to have every opportunity to succeed. I felt my stomach drop. But what about my birthday plans? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. We've been planning this for months. I even saved up my own money to help pay for it. My mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh, we can reschedule that. It's just an escape room. Ella's trip is important for her future. Besides, you can have your little party anytime. It's not like the escape room is going anywhere. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But we've been planning this for months. It's my 18th birthday. I'll be a legal adult. Doesn't that matter? Ella rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like you're dying or something. You can have your little party another time. This trip is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. Don't you want me to succeed? I looked to my dad for support, but he just stared at his plate, avoiding eye contact. That's when I lost it. I stood up, tears streaming down my face. So, once again, Ella gets whatever she wants, and I'm left with nothing. Thanks for making it clear where I stand in this family. I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore. I stormed out of the room, ignoring my mother's calls to come back and discuss this rationally. I spent the rest of the night crying in my room, feeling more alone than ever. I texted my best friend, Lily, pouring out everything that had happened. She was furious on my behalf and offered to let me stay at her place for a few days if I needed to get away. The next morning, I woke up to find my mom had already booked Ella's flights and was helping her pack. They were giggling and chatting about all the fun Ella would have, completely ignoring the fact that I was standing right there, my eyes still puffy from crying all night. My dad tried to placate me with promises of a bigger and better party later. "We'll do something really special for you, kiddo," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Maybe we can go to that amusement park you used to love when you were little." I just stared at him blankly. "Dad, I haven't wanted to go to that amusement park since I was 10. Do you even know me at all?" He flinched at that, but quickly covered it up with a forced smile. "Of course I do. We'll figure something out, okay? Just give us some time." But I knew it was all empty words. They'd promised me the moon right now, but as soon as Ella needed something, I'd be pushed aside again. It had been the pattern my entire life, and I was sick of it. I needed to get out of that house. I felt like I was suffocating, drowning in a sea of broken promises and shattered hopes. I called the only person I knew I could trust, my grandpa, my dad's father. He's always been my rock, the one person who seemed to truly see and understand me. Grandpa is a bit of a character. At 75, he's still as sharp as a tack and doesn't take crap from anyone. He retired from his law practice a few years ago but still does pro bono work for people in need. He's always been generous with his time and money, especially when it comes to his grandkids. But more than that, he's always made me feel valued and loved. "Grandpa," I said, my voice shaking, "can I come stay with you for a while? I can't be here right now." Without hesitation, he replied, "Of course, kiddo. Pack your bags. I'll be there in an hour." "Are you sure?" I asked, not wanting to be a burden. "I don't want to impose." "Nonsense," he cut me off. "You're never an imposition. I'll be there soon. And Sarah." His voice softened. "I love you, kiddo. We'll figure this out together." Those simple words, "I love you," brought fresh tears to my eyes. When was the last time I'd heard that from my parents without it feeling like an afterthought? True to his word, Grandpa showed up an hour later. I was ready to go, my bags packed with everything I thought I'd need for an extended stay. My parents were shocked when they saw Grandpa's car pull up. "Dad?" my father said, confusion evident in his voice. "What are you doing here?" Grandpa's voice was cold when he replied, "I'm here to pick up Sarah. She's going to be staying with me for a while." My mom started to protest. "Now, wait a minute. We can work this out. Sarah, don't you think you're overreacting a bit? It's just a birthday party." I couldn't believe she was still trying to downplay it. "It's not just about the party, Mom. It's about how you always choose Ella over me. How nothing I do is ever good enough. I need some space to figure things out." My dad tried to step in. "Come on, sweetie. Let's talk about this. We love you, you know that." But I was done. I picked up my bags and walked towards Grandpa's car. "I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. But right now, I just need to go." As we drove away, I could see my parents standing in the driveway, looking lost. Ella was nowhere to be seen, probably too busy packing for her trip to care about the drama unfolding. The drive to Grandpa's house was quiet at first. He didn't push me to talk, just let me sit with my thoughts. Finally, as we pulled into his driveway, he turned to me. "You did a brave thing back there, kiddo," he said softly. "Standing up for yourself isn't easy, especially with family. I'm proud of you." I burst into tears then, all the emotions I'd been holding back flooding out. Grandpa just held me, letting me cry it out. When I finally calmed down, he helped me carry my bags inside and got me settled in the guest room, or as he called it, Sarah's room. Living with Grandpa has been a breath of fresh air. For the first time in my life, I feel seen and valued. He asks about my day and actually listens to my answers. He's been helping me research colleges with good pre-vet programs and encouraging me to pursue my dreams. You've got a gift with animals, he told me one day as we volunteered together at the local shelter. Don't let anyone tell you that's not valuable. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Remember how I mentioned my parents always seemed to have money for Ella's whims but never for mine? Well, it turns out there was a reason for that. A few days after I moved in, Grandpa sat me down for a serious talk. There's something you need to know, he said, his voice grave. Your parents. They never planned to have you. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What do you mean? Grandpa sighed heavily. Your mom got pregnant with you accidentally. They were going to, well, not keep you. But I found out and offered them a deal. If they kept you and raised you, I'd support them financially. I've been sending them money every month since before you were born. I was reeling from this revelation. Suddenly, so many things made sense: the favoritism, the neglect, the constant feeling of being an outsider in my own family. But why didn't you ever say anything? I asked, tears welling up in my eyes. I thought, I hope they'd grow to love you as much as I do, Grandpa replied, his voice cracking. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have done more. I hugged him tightly, overwhelmed with emotion. You've done more than enough, Grandpa. You're the reason I'm here at all. We spent hours talking that night. Grandpa filled me in on the whole story: how my mom had gotten pregnant right after Ella was born, how they had struggled financially with 2 young kids already. He showed me the legal agreement he had drawn up, ensuring that they would keep me and provide for me in exchange for his financial support. I thought I was doing the right thing, he said, his eyes filled with regret. I thought if they just gave you a chance, they'd see how amazing you are. I never imagined they'd treat you like this. The next day, Grandpa made some calls. He informed my parents that he was cutting off their monthly allowance, effective immediately. He also let them know that he'd be setting up a trust fund for me, ensuring my college education and future would be secure. To say my parents freaked out would be an understatement. They showed up at Grandpa's house, alternating between begging for forgiveness and demanding that I come home. But I stood my ground, backed by Grandpa's unwavering support. You've made your choices, I told them calmly. Now I'm making mine. My mom tried to guilt-trip me. After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us? By turning your grandfather against us? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All you've done for me? You mean besides constantly making me feel unwanted and less important than Ella? Besides canceling the one thing I asked for on my 18th birthday? My dad at least had the decency to look ashamed. We never meant to make you feel that way, Sarah. We love you. Do you? I asked, my voice breaking. Because from where I'm standing, it seems like you only kept me because Grandpa paid you to. They both flinched at that, and I knew Grandpa hadn't told them he'd revealed the truth to me. That's not fair, my dad started, but Grandpa cut him off. I think it's time for you both to leave, he said firmly. Sarah will contact you when she's ready. Until then, I suggest you do some serious reflection on your actions. As they left, I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time, I had stood up for myself and set boundaries. It wasn't easy, and I knew there would be more difficult conversations in the future, but it was a start. As for Ella, she's furious that her gravy train has been cut off. She's been blowing up my phone with angry messages, blaming me for ruining her life. Apparently, she had to come home early from her Cancun trip because our parents couldn't afford the full week anymore. She's called me every name in the book, accusing me of being a selfish brat who's jealous of her success. I've blocked her number and all her social media accounts. I don't need that negativity in my life anymore. It hurts, knowing that my own sister cares more about luxury vacations than my feelings, but I'm learning to accept that I can't change her or make her care about me. My actual 18th birthday was last week, and it was everything I could have dreamed of and more. Grandpa threw me a surprise party at, you guessed it, the escape room place. All my friends were there, and even my older brother flew in for the occasion. Jake pulled me aside during the party. I'm so sorry, Sarah, he said, his eyes filled with regret. I should have been there for you more. I couldn't deal with how they treated you, so I ran away to college and never looked back. That wasn't fair to you. I hugged him tightly. It's okay, Jake. You were dealing with your own stuff. But maybe we can try to be better siblings to each other now? He nodded, wiping away a tear. I'd like that. The party was amazing. We had a blast solving puzzles, eating pizza, and just celebrating life. My friends had all chipped in to buy me a beautiful charm bracelet, with little charms representing different memories we'd shared. Grandpa's gift was a state-of-the-art laptop for college, complete with all the software I'd need for my studies. But the best gift of all came at the end of the night. Grandpa handed me an envelope with a twinkle in his eye. Inside was a certificate for a week-long veterinary camp at one of the top vet schools in the country. I know it's not for a few months, he said as I stared at it in shock. But I thought it might help you decide if this is really the path you want to take. I threw my arms around him, too overwhelmed to speak. He just patted my back and said, "You deserve the world, kiddo. Never let anyone tell you differently." For the first time in years, I felt truly happy and loved. As I blew out the candles on my cake, I made a wish, not for material things or grand gestures, but for the strength to keep moving forward, to build a life filled with genuine love and respect. The weeks following my birthday were a roller coaster of emotions. I started therapy to work through my feelings about my family and my newfound knowledge about my birth. It's been tough, but I'm slowly learning to process my emotions in a healthier way. Grandpa has been my rock through it all. He's not only supporting me emotionally but also helping me prepare for my future. We've been visiting colleges together, focusing on schools with strong pre-vet programs. It's exciting to think about the possibilities ahead. My parents have made several attempts to reconcile. They've sent emails, left voicemails, and even tried to visit a few times. Their messages swing between apologies and attempts to downplay what happened. I'm not ready to forgive them yet, but I've agreed to family counseling sessions starting next month. It's a small step, but it's something. Ella, on the other hand, has been less than understanding. She's still angry about losing her allowance and blames me for ruining her college experience. Last week, she showed up at Grandpa's house, demanding that he reinstate the family's financial support. Grandpa calmly but firmly told her that his money would now be going towards supporting his grandchildren's education, not funding luxury trips. She left in a huff, but not before warning me that I'd regret this. Despite the drama, I'm focusing on my future. I've been accepted to 3 great colleges, all with excellent veterinary programs. Grandpa surprised me by saying he'd cover my tuition and expenses, allowing me to graduate debt-free. I'm overwhelmed by his generosity and determined to make him proud. I'm also rebuilding my relationship with Jake. We talk weekly now, and he's promised to visit more often. It's nice to feel like I have a real big brother again. As for my parents, I'm taking it one day at a time. The family counseling sessions have been eye-opening, revealing years of unaddressed issues. It's painful, but I hope it's a step towards healing. I know the road ahead won't be easy. There's still a lot to work through with my family, and starting college will bring its own challenges. But for the first time in my life, I feel hopeful about the future. I have a support system that believes in me, and I'm learning to believe in myself. Thank you for reading my story. Writing it out has been cathartic, and I hope it might help someone else who's going through something similar. Remember, you deserve love, respect, and happiness. Don't settle for less. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your kind words and support. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, I'm maintaining low contact with my parents and Ella for now. I need time to heal and focus on myself. 2. My brother and I are actively working on rebuilding our relationship. He feels guilty for not being there more, but we're moving forward together. 3. Grandpa has ensured that my parents can't touch the trust fund he set up for me. 4. I start college this fall and am more excited than ever about becoming a vet. 5. For those asking about legal action against my parents, I've decided not to pursue that route. I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. Thank you all again for your support. It means more than you know.